I'm going to kick off this video by plain out that yes, this is a sponsored video. Who is sponsoring it? Peda Comics. Editing Nora interrupting to say, I don't know why I kept saying Peda Comics because it's actually Peda Entertainment. Yes, there is a comics book aspect of the business, but they also do animations and so many other services. So yeah, the sponsor of this video is Peda Entertainment. That's the group, not just Peda Comics. I don't know why I kept saying Peda Comics, like forgive me. There is just something very satisfying about seeing comics that center Africa and also center African powers and culture and tradition, and in a way that, like I stated in my thumbnail, depicts Africa as more than a monolith. And so to get the chance to partner with Peda Comics was just an absolute dream. I cannot wait for you all to see my reading experience because I had a great weekend. I had a fantastic weekend. I had an amazing weekend. You know, when you read comics and you get a tingle in your stomach and you see yourself represented and you see the story that is able to specifically designate East African, West African, Central African, North African, you see all the different regions of Africa and the different tribes present in that region, separated by religion and culture and food and their language and their outfits.
What do you want, baby? What do you want? Sleep in your ears. What do you want? Mommy's reading. You're so cute though.
I just finished reading issue 1 of Chayoma. I am in love. I am in absolute awe because
that's some real good shit.
Firstly, look at that cover. Look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? See, there's something that always bothers me in some comics whereby you're telling me that this woman is very strong and very powerful. Like she has physical strength. And you're trying to make me believe that this woman that is meant to be able to kick ass looks very, very skinny. I think it's rooted in the fact that people seem to believe that you cannot be a woman and also have muscles, right? That women can't have buff muscles that stand out, that show their physical strength. I personally love it. I think I want Chayoma to squash my head with her big, powerful thighs, like squash it like a pawpaw.
I mean, facts are facts.
Yes, I am a simple girl. I see a hot girl who is way stronger than I am physically, and I'm in love. And this is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, Chayoma takes its inspiration from East Africa, and if it is that like that is a whole different set of gods, a whole different set of belief system, but at the same time, East Africa is also a very huge part of the subcontinent. And the one thing I love about this comic is the fact that you're actually able to see the different tribes. You can tell them apart by their way of dressing, by their accessories, and that is actually, it's so real. You can always tell when it's an African person telling an African story because they get the nuance right. They get all the subtlety right. They create a world that is as real to time as the world we all know and love, and I absolutely adore that. So as I was saying, this comic follows Chayoma, right? She's a young girl, nothing pretty extraordinary about her birth. It's not like she's coming from like royalty or anything, but what is extraordinary about her is that because she has physical prowess and she has potential, and then you have this elite group of warriors and assassins called the Jangura who have risen during this present dynasty and who are always recruiting the best of the best to join their ranks. And so they get Chayoma, who is very young and very vulnerable. And the reason why I stress vulnerable is because it is crucial to her story. So they bring her into the Jangura. So what happens when you bring a young girl who has the natural prowess and who also is very young and very malleable and obviously wants to be accepted and loved by the new person that has groomed her into adulthood? You make her into a killing machine, and that is what you get with this book. And I absolutely, the fight sequences, I can visualize the fight in my head. I can visualize it from the way in which the panels are drawn, also the coloring. I repeat, the diversity in the skin tone, in the melanin that is presented in this comics.
Absolute perfection.
And I just... Technically, Chayoma's story in this first issue is actually going to become a redemption arc, right? Because I repeat, she was groomed to become a killer. So how do you go from that stage? How do you go from being groomed to become a killer to being the savior of your people? Because we're seeing things. We know that gods are at play. This book is inspired by East African, that includes East African mythology, and we already saw hints of the demigods and the supernatural creatures that she's going to be fighting. So we know that that is going to be a thing. And the fact that Mlezi, who are demigods, means that every single thing that is left to accomplish in this comic, I am absolutely ready for it. And that is the reason why I did take the sponsorship. That's the reason why I'm working with Peda Comics, because I am so excited. One, I keep saying it, and I would continue to say that I think that there's a need for African stories. There's a need for Africans and people of African descent to be telling African stories. We are the ones that tell our narratives. We are the ones that shift the perception. And like I said, a lot of people's perception of Africa is that it's this monolith. That's the reason why someone can tell you and be like, oh, you're African. Do you know so and so a person? I'm like, dude,
How fucking stupid are you?
do you know how large the continent is? Do you know how fucking large Africa is? No, I do not even know every single person in, like... Do you know how populous Lagos is? You cannot say that, oh, this person lives in Lagos. You know this person in Lagos. I'm like, seriously? I don't even know every single person that lives in my street.
Girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
And that's the reason why, like, I would keep saying that we need people who know our continent, who know our people, who know our culture, who know our religions, and who can create amazing, fantastical worlds. And that is what Peda Comics does. That is what they've set out to do. That is what they create. They create comics that center African. They bring in our religion. They bring in our culture. They bring in even things that are little, like the way we dress, that identifies us, because African countries are split into different tribes, and every tribe, not only is it the language that tells us apart, it's also our food, it's also our gods, it's also our religion, it's also the way in which we dress. And I love that that dressing was brought into this comic. Like I already said, I love the fact that you have a badass girl. Also she's bold. Like, that did things to me. That did things to me. She's bold, she's very strong, she's clearly going to be on a redemption arc. I definitely want to know more about her story. I am very, very curious about her story, and I want more, which is, like I said, the reason why I accepted the sponsorship from Peda Comics, because they are starting a Kickstarter. With the Kickstarter, you get the bind up of the first 3 issues, and of course, you also make room for the fact that there will be more issues of Chayoma to be told. So if it is that you love badass women who are strong, who have physical strength, magical abilities, set in East Africa, because I repeat, there are not enough East African stories that capture East Africa. So if you want that, if you want political intrigue, because there is that, if you want a villain that has you wondering what her story is, because the villain in this, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to spoil it, and I want you to read it so you figure out who the villain is. The villain in this story has me intrigued because I need to know what their story is. I need to know what their motivations are. So all these questions have arisen because of this comic, and so I definitely want I want answers. I definitely want to know what is happening. So yes, I would leave the link to Chayoma's Kickstarter in the description bar. If you're someone that's always wanted authentic African stories, you're going to love this comic, right? And even if it is that you cannot pledge at the moment, sharing it on social media, talking about it, letting everybody know for the duration when the Kickstarter is on is definitely going to be beneficial, because you're driving the conversation, you're making people realize the fact. I repeat, it is key for not just the old world, because it's something that has become so prevalent, this belief that, you know, North Africa is the same thing as East Africa, and is the same thing as South Africa, and is the same thing as West Africa and Central Africa. I would keep saying Africa is a big continent, and I think that this is the reason why comics like this are also just as important, because there's a need to have that narrative. There's something that brings me joy every single time I see a creator that is telling African stories, and is telling them authentically, and is telling telling them in a way in which I identify and I recognize. It makes me very happy. It fills my heart with all that warmth. And I think when you pledge for the Kickstarter, you're telling the world that, one, you're interested in African stories. Two, you know that Africa is not a monolith. Three, you want African stories that also center women, because a lot of the times the society is so patriarchal, and even when it is that we're learning about warriors and fighters and legends, there's always this, they're always so overwhelmingly male, right? And for me, I have a problem with that. So you have a strong woman here who look strong. I repeat, those ties can crush my head like a pawpaw, and I would thank her for it.
I love women.
So yeah, I am just gorgeous. This is a great start to this weekend's comic reading vlog for me, and I cannot wait to read more comics, because this is going to be a Peda Comics sponsored vlog, and I'm going to be reading a lot of their comics, and your girl is floating on African stories right now, and I intend to take you for the ride. So yeah, I just finished reading the digital copy of issue 2 of Chayoma. Wow. Okay, have you ever been reading a book and then suddenly a landscape that you're familiar with, that you know from history, is named, and then you're just like, oh my god, and then you flip the page and you get to a map, and then you're identifying the fact that, oh my god, that's the Congo, oh, that's Somalia, oh, Ethiopia is bordered right there, that is the home of the Maasai tribe. It was so cool. I want that map printed, because just being able to see where history as I know it, and as most Africans know it, especially those that do, I've looked at the map of Africa and looked at other African tribes, being able to see history in that map and also see where it meets fantasy and fantastical lands is just brilliant. Like I stated earlier, she's on a redemption arc, right? She has been lied to practically all her life. This is currently her journey. This is currently her trying to figure out who she is and what she stands for, and exactly what secrets have been hidden from her. And I love the fact that she goes from this person who is so blindly loyal, your perfect soldier, to this person who is questioning even the seemingly messenger that has been sent to her. I loved that juxtaposition. Once again, the fight scenes, the way in which the fight scenes are depicted in this comic, it's just beautiful. There is so much movement to it. I mean, you can legitimately feel the action, like it's just unfolding at the back of your eyelid. And all I was thinking was that I was reading this comic and I'm like, yo, I want more of the story. I think that the story, we need to see how the story ends. We need to see how the story unfolds. We need to see who has been lying. This story is one that is epic. I think of it like Chayoma to me is Hercules, right? She's Hercules of Greek mythology, but this time around in East Africa, because you can see the many trials and tribulations, and you know the way in which Hercules' life is told in phases and told, like, you know, so there's a part of him coming into his own as a hero, there's the part of him interacting with the gods. Like, you can picture Hercules' lives in different phases. That's the same feeling I get with Chayoma. I think that hers is a story that can span multiple issues, because there's so much to explore. There's the physical battle that is going on, and then there is the promise of a battle between the gods that is just this underlying thread, and it just makes me really intrigued and really interested. Also, content warning for lots of blood and gore, because Chayoma, like I said, is an assassin and she's a warrior, and there are certain panels where she was beheading people. Like, you all know how bloodthirsty I am, so I was just like,
That's what I'm talking about.
you all know how bloodthirsty I am, but just in case, if that's something it's not yours, you can always skip the pages and continue the story, but just, you need to know that there is some very, you know, there's quite some modern scenes there, and now there's going to be intersection of her and another group of people, and I need issue 3. Issue 3 needs to be in my hands like yesterday. I have questions. I have so much questions, and I don't want to go into details because I don't want to spoil it, but I need to know, what is the princess's deal? What is a story? What is Chuba's story? Because, oh my god, and then who the hell is Oni? Like,
I'll ask 21 questions.
let's move on to newborns. There are 6 issues of this, and
I'm ready.
So we're about hitting evening. I am going to be wrapping up my reading vlog for today to continue tomorrow, Sunday, because it is a weekend reading vlog. But I was able to get a lot of reading done, other than the issues of Chayoma, which is issue 1 and 2 that I read. I also finished all of this, including some digital copies. So now, here is where things get very interesting. I've already stated the fact that Chayoma is meant to be one of the newborn Mlezi. I thought she was the last of a kind, but turns out that she's part of a group, a new group of Mlezi whose spirits have been reborn in order to help protect their world. So they're a pretty big deal. Think of it like the Avengers, if I was to pick a random popular team to further convey that. So think of it like the Avengers, and you have each one of them have their individual stories. For example, I read Mlezi, whose story is actually pretty tragic, because woven into these comics are also stories about slave trade and marauders. So there is that, and that is heartbreaking because it's also very representative of the evil that is present at the time. So after Chayoma, who already established was picked up as a child and raised to be an assassin, only to realize that she's been lied to all her life, and now it's her turn to take back her destiny and take back her story. I also read Mbuze, who was a craftsman in the Kingdom of Congo. Now, the Kingdom of Congo centers a bit of Angola, a bit of the Republic of Congo, and then a bit of the Democratic Republic of Congo. For those that don't know, Congo is split into Republic of Congo, and then there's the DRC. Like I said, the level of history.
Perfection achieved.
If it is that you just want an understanding of African history, then I would say pick up these books, because it tells of people that created, like for example, one of the Mlezi's characters that we meet in Newborn, for example, you get a history of the founding of Inri, right, which was the first settlement, and there you had the first king, even though technically the Igbo tribe is more split into clans, but the first person to unite multiple clans, you have a brief history of him. Then we go over to Oyo and meet their laughing, and then we are going to Zimbabwe, and we're going to Asante in Ghana. We go to Marrakesh. It's so cool. If you have an interest in learning about African history, then I would totally recommend you pick up these comics, especially if you want an understanding of Africa as a continent, not as a monolith that everybody and their father seem to think it is, but continent that is as diverse in its cultures and its people. You would have it there. So like I said, Mbuze's story is a craftsman in the Kingdom of Congo until one night his family is besieged by marauders, and then is literally reborn as an Mlezi, and so that is his story. And then I also read Newborn. Newborn is the Avengers comic. So like Chayoma, which I will once again reiterate, is a comic with a badass female lead. There are so many. See, the Newborn comics is like your Avengers, so you follow multiple characters at the same time. But Chayoma is a single issue comic as in Mbuzue, but in Chayoma, she's, like I said, she's a badass girl. And in Newborn, you have basically all these characters come together. So you have Chayoma in this, you have Mbuzue, you have Komi, who is a princess of the Ashanti tribe in Ghana, you have Yejida, who is a princess of Oyo, you have Aguala, who is one of the warriors of the Nri kingdom, you have Zama, who is the king of Zimbabwe, you have Alamadhad, who is from Marrakesh. So you have this, it's like a unionization of Africa. The way I see it, it's a bringing together of Africa's strength in order to achieve a purpose, right? And if it is that we all know that comics represent something, they further tell us other stories. I think a unionization of basically all aspects of Africa to pit their powers together in order to defeat the ultimate evil. If you want to go beyond the surface level, it just goes to show that for us to achieve anything as a continent, we need to work together. I love this comics. I am in awe of the story that is being told. I want to learn more about this, and it's once again just further confirming that this, like, taking on this sponsorship was the right thing for me to do, because I know that a support of this, starting with Chayoma, not only do you get a comic with vivid look at that imagery. So not only do you get a comic with vivid imagery with Chayoma, or an elite character that is an utter badass, you're also supporting more of this editing or you're interrupting again to say that, yes, I know I just waxed poetic and spoke about my deep, deep love as well for Chronicles of the Newborns, Rise of the Mlezi. And you're probably wondering like, oh my God, Noria, how can you tell us all this about this amazing comic that you just read practically almost the entire issues of and you're just going to leave us hanging? No. If you actually are interested in the comics, like I said, between it and Chayoma, it's just mind-blowingly good. And like I already stated, Chayoma and Mbuze are both part of the newborns, right? So their stories infuse as well as the other newborns in the Rise of Mlezi, because they are the Mlezi, right? Who are basically the guardians of life as we know it, and in them is imbued the powers to fight celestial spirits. So they are going to have celestial battles in them. But yeah, so Chayoma and Mbuze are part of the Mlezi, as well as Komi and Yejida and, you know, all the other people I mentioned. So they all fit together as a group, right? And Lives of the Mlezi tells their stories as well as seeing them come together. If it is that you are interested in the comics, you can still get the comics as well. See, the Chayoma Kickstarter pre-order campaign, which would have all the 3 issues of Chayoma in one bind-up, like that is what the Kickstarter is for, is to help them print so that they can have everything in one bind-up. If you look at the various levels of the backing, you will see that some of the levels would get you copies of newborns as well. So if it is that you're interested in newborns as well, you get a 2-for-1 deal, all the issues of Chayoma and all the issues of newborns, and it's just like, it's a perfect mix, a perfect, amazing, beautiful fusion of diverse storytelling that, I will keep saying it, just portrays Africa the way we know it to be, as intricately diverse and beautiful and amazing. And yes, so if you're interested and if you want copies of Rise of Mlezi as well, you can still get it as well in the Chayoma pre-order Kickstarter campaign. So like I said, the link will be in the description bar. It is live right now, so don't miss this opportunity, and don't say Noria didn't look out for you, because I got you. I got you. The level of history and research, the level of research that went into these comics, I am shooketh. And all I'm just thinking is that if one of these comics is meant to feed into the others and just create this flawless ecosystem of us getting more of the stories, I am down for it. And each of these characters are such well-rounded individuals that it's just like, Chayoma is not just she's not just a warrior, for example. Komi is not just a princess. Yejida is not just another princess. Almahad is not just a mercenary. There are so many levels. Mbuzue, we already have an idea of his own origin story. So they just have so much layers to them, and I'm just ready to explore it. Can I just say, having the girls with different haircuts, like you have some of them with cornrows. Chayoma, as we saw, is bald. Yejida has her hair in a shuku, which is your version of a ponytail, but we cornrow it and then we pack it. Like Yejida has her hair in a shuku. Komi has her hair in a fro, in an afro puff. I'm just, yo, these comics are giving me life. I'm going to end today's reading vlog here, but I'm so excited and I want more. Wow. Next, I read DJ Anomalies, which is free on the Peda Comics website. Yes, it is free. You don't have to pay for it. You just go to the website. I'm going to leave a link to it in everything is going to be in the description bar. But in DJ, it takes place in Lagos, which you already know. I'm already a fan. Lagos is my city, is my home. And I love the fact that immediately from the onset, when we're looking at the story, boom, we're dropped into things that are currently happening, right? Like current events and happenings. There is the mention of the snake that swallowed 36 billion naira, which seems like a joke. But nope, somebody legit opened this stupidity that they call a mouth to tell us that a snake swallowed 36 billion naira. Stupid. Anyway, so like there's a mention of that on the radio station. There's a mention of, you know, Lagos traffic, the perpetuality of that. The first issue of Dichi, you have this armed robbers who basically try and rob a bank, and just before they're able to get away, boom, they're attacked by this guy with superhuman powers, and now the guy is all over the news, the word is out, and basically this guy is going to challenge the cabal. Now, if it is that you're a Nigerian or you know any Nigerians, who will tell you that the cabal are the group of people, the really truly ultra wealthy politicians and money makers and billionaires in Nigeria who profit off of the suffering of our people, and so therefore would not let Nigeria progress. And to have a comic that basically has this young man challenge that, for me was just so satisfying, because I repeat, if you're Nigerian, that comic would hit straight to home. But not just if you're Nigerian, if you live in a country that is governed by capitalism, with politicians who basically like to play fast and loose with your life, to be able to envision a world where you have one person who is going to challenge the system, and who is going to, from him, have other people also challenge the system, is just, it's something that makes me happy, and I really did enjoy it. It was one issue, went by really, really fast. The art, like the art style of Peda Comics, I feel it, like it, I vibes with it so hard. It is so beautiful, so vibrant, so lifelike. It's just very satisfying, and the way in which movement is depicted in the panels, I would always state it, just it warms my heart. So yes, I did read Dichi, loved it. And the last two issues I'm reading this weekend, after which I'll be done, is Tech Kids. Now, Tech Kids is a comic. I don't know if it's going to be available internationally. I will check their website, and if that is the case, I'll leave links in the description bar, because this is actually a partnership with Cold Stone, who sell ice cream, and they commissioned these comics. I think they are the primary sponsors of this comic, and they basically give it to kids during Children's Day. So I don't know if it's available for purchase, but I'll check the website. But Tech Kids follows these kids who come from the future, because in the future there's a mad scientist who has basically cracked time travel, right, and is seeking about going to destroy the things and basically create a world in his own image, a world where his ambitions are fulfilled. And then you have these young kids who are young cadets in the Nigerian police force who go after him and are jumping with him across time and space in order to stop him. And this comics takes place in present day, for us, Lagos, but to them it's in the past, and it's a very fish out of water scenario for them, because they are trying to just survive, and people that they meet do not know who they are, and rather than chase Dr. Nomad, who is the mad scientist, they are basically shooting at these kids. And I'm like, yo, of course they're going to shoot at the children not the mad scientist. But the kids are kicking back. It's a race against the time with regards if the kids would get to Dr. Nomad first, and even if they don't, if they would have everything repaired early enough to take off immediately after him. So that is where we currently are. So yes, that is the end of my reading vlog. I read in total 16 issues of comics. In total, I read the first 2 issues of Chayoma. Like I stated, the Kickstarter is live right now, so go do your pledges, go pledge your support. I would keep saying this, that the only way in which African stories will get told is for the world to unanimously come forward and say that yes, we're willing to support the stories. And it makes a lot of sense when the stories are actually really, really good. So I read 2 issues of Chayoma. I read 6 issues of Newborn, The Rise of the Mlezi, which you all already saw. I love that. I read 1 issue of Mbuzwe, which is also another Mlezi story. I read 2 of the Tech Kids, and I read 1 of Showdown. So in total, is it up to 16?
No, it is not.
Sorry, my bad. I read 12 issues. I'm certain you all were like, hold up, Noria. 16? I read 12 issues in total. Still not bad. It was a very productive weekend. I absolutely loved it. I hope you all enjoyed this reading vlog. I don't do as much reading vlogs on my channel because I don't know how the reception is. Like, I rarely go out of my house, and I don't usually like have this whole tapes of, okay, this is a view of the setting sun, etc, etc. You're probably just going to see me read and work during the weekend, because this weekend was a busy weekend for me, and I didn't watch TV either, so hence the reason why there were no TV breaks. But let me know if weekend reading vlogs are a thing you would like to see. Let me know which of the comics I read interests you and you're interested in reading. Like I stated, all the links to all the comics I've mentioned and I read throughout this reading vlog will be in the description bar, including the free copy of DJ, which is available for free on the Peda Comics website, which, yeah, see, It's not 16, but it's more than 12. It's 13. I read 13 comics this weekend. So y'all have seen my thoughts. Let me know which of these comics you're interested in checking out. But that will be the end of this video. As always, if you liked it, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you want to. And if you do decide to subscribe, please click on that notification bell so you can know the minute I have a new video go up. I make new videos every Wednesdays and Sundays at 2 p.m. EST. Yes, that's 2 p.m. EST. I will see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.